Hello everyone! Artemio the Violet Wizard here, and today we're continuing our Pokémon SoulSilver Nuzlocke. Last time we got started on our journey and managed to make it all the way to Violet City with, thankfully, so far no fatalities, which, don't worry, we're probably going to run into some trouble a little bit later, but so far we managed to accrue quite the nice team, as we can see by our little buddy here, Snorkel. He's glowing with health. Oh, that's so good. I didn't even know he could get Tail Glow. And you can obviously see what the rest of the team is like thanks to the Poke-Link we have on the side of the screen. Quite an interesting group of Pokemon we managed to collect so far, though there are some that I am not as attached to compared to others. So, for this session, our end goal is going to be here at the Violet City Gym. Obviously, challenging the gym is an important step to being a Pokemon trainer. If we go in here right now, yo, champ in the making, you must be here to challenge Falconer, the gym leader, right? You're quite welcome. Almost. This city has a tower called the Sprout Tower where trainers come to train themselves. Challenging Falconer may be too difficult if you haven't gone through their training. So yeah, a little bit of a change between the originals and the remakes. Back in Gold, Silver, and Crystal, you could just challenge the gym leader whenever you first get into Violet City. However, for this game, they changed it so that you have to go to Sprout Tower first, which, given a certain event that happens there, I understand why they went with that. But before we head off to the tower, there's some new areas we can explore around Violet City and want to take care of. First, we head through this path. We can pick a yellow apricorn. Definitely want to make note of that, because those could be useful to us in the future. And over here, we step into Route 32. This area doesn't have too much for us, besides obviously that patch of grass. If we try to go further south, this man will block us. Wait up, what's the hurry? Have you gone to the Pokemon gym? You can test your Pokemon and yourself there. It's a rite of passage for all trainers. So yep, we are incapable of moving forward until after we beat the gym. So getting a lot of roadblocks here, but I guess that is fitting for the nature of these kind of RPGs. Okay, that is interesting. First encounter here on Route 32 is Ditto. It's definitely an interesting encounter here. Actually, there was one idea I was having, but no, that wouldn't work too good. Let's go ahead and weaken you with Bubble. Ditto is an interesting... Ooh, critical hit. Ditto's an interesting Pokemon, is that it's one of the few that has the move Transform. This allows the Pokemon to obviously copy whatever the type, stats, abilities, and whatnot of their opponent Pokemon, pretty much becoming a perfect copy of them. And if we were to catch Ditto for our team, it would certainly be interesting. Basically just able to copy whatever our opponent's able to do. And we actually got you, not bad. I seem to recall these being quite difficult Pokemon to catch, but that was actually very nice. Alright, Ditto, probably not planning to use you for the team, but let's call you Deja Vu. Which is also very fitting, considering that I've also been using a Ditto in another run that I have been doing these days. Hello, Lydia. Welcome to the stream. Don't worry, your namesake is not dead yet. Alright, so we managed to catch one Pokemon in this area, so how about we head this way? There's gonna be a lot to see here. You're studying the ruins? I see a scientist in the making. The ruins of Alph, a look and touch tourist site. Try the sliding stone panels. There are drawings on stone panels. I try moving them. I wonder what they are. Definitely want to see. Because over here we got a pretty nice area, the ruins of Alph. Right away by checking that stone, we got a full heal. That's basically an antidote, paralyze heal, just all the status healing items rolled into one. A very useful item. You can kind of check around things here to see what items you can get. This whole area just got a really cool makeover in the remakes. Just really make it feel like these are ancient ruins of a long-lost civilization. There are odd patterns drawn on the walls of the ruins. They must be the keys for unraveling the mystery of the ruins. The ruins are about 1,500 years old. That's all we know about them. It's not known why they were built, or by who. There's some neat lore about this area. Bravo! Promising youth who's about to start the journey of archaeology's just arrived. What? Just a visitor? Oh, I see. You got me excited for nothing. I have always been pretty fascinated by archaeology. Just so cool to learn about all the different people and the cultures that they once held all that time ago. Just a nice little window into what humanity used to be like. Visitors who are interested in archaeology are welcome, as we have heard from that fellow. Also, these rocks here that we're incapable of breaking. Want to remember those for later. So remember, navigating around this area can be a little tricky just because of the perspective. But it's not too bad, just as long as you are the same level as those little stone patterns there, you're able to get through pretty easily. So we head into this ruin here. Welcome to this chamber. We're reconstructing ancient Pokemon stone panels. You can rotate stone panel pieces by touching them for a short time. If you touch a piece and slide it, you can move it around. We think you should be able to put them back to where they were. We're going to ignore the main mural here and check this part of the back. Escape. So we currently do not have the means to be able to activate this, and depending on how things go with our item loadout, it's probably going to be a while before we can really get to see what that is. But let's go into the main panel here. We get a sort of little mini-game here. Pokemon hides on the seafloor and watches the shore with eyes on its back. Much like the original version, we have the ability to move around these stone panels. Although it's a lot more simple compared to how it was in the original Gold and Silver. Also, we have the ability to rotate the panels, which also adds another element to the puzzle. But by solving that, wah-hoo-hoo-hoo-wee! Did you just come down from above? So, you must have solved the stone panel puzzle. That is wonderful! You seem to have some talent with archaeology. I'll give you this unknown report. It records unknown as you capture them. I'm sure it'll come in handy. Oh boy, this item. There's a strange presence here. Yeah, definitely gonna be strange considering what run we're doing. It's the unknown report. This is an exclusive item to these remakes, and it is kind of worthless, all things considered, just used for jotting down the different forms of a certain Pokemon you'd normally be able to encounter here. So after moving around these stone panels and solving the puzzle... Oh, you have got to be kidding me. So by doing that, we managed to trigger the ability to encounter wild Pokemon down here. Which is going to be pretty helpful if we want to go after some of these Pokemon. However, there is only one thing we're really going to be able to catch here, which is this Magby. Which does conflict with one of my main rules. Yeah, normally you would only be able to encounter one species of Pokemon down here, and it is a disappointing one. This one is disappointing for a whole nother reason. Normally be really happy to run into a Magby. Things are known as a baby Pokemon, so their stats are a little lower compared to other Pokemon you're able to encounter in their areas, or at that level. But they evolve pretty quickly, and in the case of Magby, it evolves into a really good Pokemon. However, there is one little problem based on the rules that I am setting for this particular challenge. Also, this thing is pretty hard to catch, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this thing just with regular Pokeballs. And sadly, I don't have any means to inflict a status ailment to make this even easier for us, so just gonna have to try and wing it. Oh, that was so close. See, I'm not too disappointed if we miss out on this Magby for reasons that will be apparent. And Sun is poison here. That could be trouble if this battle lasts a bit long. Yeah, nothing I can do but just try and see if we can catch this thing. It's also pretty funny because this exact same situation kind of happened in another Nuzlocke run from this one streamer slash YouTuber that I've been watching lately called RT Games. So yeah, I'm definitely getting a lot of deja vu here. Oh wow, that nickname for my Ditto is already being very useful. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to catch this. Which is fine, it's fine. Yep, our last Pokeball. Meaning if this doesn't work on Magby, there's nothing else we can do. It's also a shame, because given our other Pokemon options here, we really have nothing to be able to make this any easier. I mean, Liz Jr. has Supersonic, which could be helpful for trying to weaken this thing, but nah, just because of this thing is just so difficult to catch normally, we're just going to throw the ball and see what happens. Nope. There we go. Now, the thing with this particular encounter that I'm not too upset about is that if we did catch this Magby, that would invoke one of these special rules I am having with this particular challenge run. In that I am going to restrict the use of a certain species of Pokemon during this run. Specifically, I'm restricting the use of Pokemon that I have previously used in any of my previous stream sessions. So we just put this away right now. So right here is the full list of all the Pokemon I'm restricting access to. So pretty much anything that I have used in a previous stream series in a Pokemon game that has also made it to the Hall of Fame are the Pokemon I am limiting my access to unless I have no other available options. Are you kidding me? I could have gone as Cyndaquil! I mean, that still would have been pretty tricky to catch. Don't know if it's any worse than Magby, but still! Also very redundant because I already have Sun. So, double fire starters, you know? This area could be good for training up Snorkeling later. Wow, I'm just encountering a bunch of fire types in here. That's a Numel, which is also a fire ground type. And why couldn't I have encountered this? This would have been fun to use. So yeah, apparently the ruins of Alph were actually created by worshippers of a solar deity, given all the fire encounters we're getting down here. It's actually funny, normally the amount of, well, the variants of the Pokemon you'll be able to catch here, which are unknown, become more available the more puzzles you're able to solve down here in the ruins of Alph. So by fulfilling the one chamber that we did above, we were able to make it so that a bunch of the first set of unknown would have spawned down here. However, because it's a randomizer run, all those unknown have obviously been changed to different species of Pokemon. which is definitely going to make this place a lot more lively. Alright, Snorkel's finally getting a new move, that's good. And I'm getting a call from Wade. July, howdy, it's Wade, how are you? Your Pokemon growing? My Pokemon are growing a bit too quickly for me, it's overwhelming. Azuro's growing especially quickly. I think it'll get tough. See you later! I actually like it's a nice touch that the randomizer does affect the calls you receive from various trainers, and that they will mention the Pokemon that got randomized onto their teams. Just a nice little touch. So I know most of our team is poison right now, but it's okay, don't have to worry about that, because this is not any generation before Gen 4. No, he will not call to brag about Rattata. Instead, he'll be calling to brag about his Slugma. Which, I know some people on a certain Discord server I'm in who do like Slugma quite a bit, so I guess they can be buddies with him. Might as well just remove the low priority list right now. Not going to need that anytime soon. But yeah, as you saw there, my Pokemon were taking damage as we were getting out of the ruins of Alph. That's one of the added effects of a Pokemon being poisoned, which has thankfully been removed Gen 5 and up. But a nice addition to Gen 4 is they made it so that a Pokemon cannot faint on the overworld if it's been poisoned. Your Pokemon will faint from poisoning if they're in battle, but if they're on the overworld and they get reduced to 1 HP, then the poison status will be removed from them. Which is a nice little compromise. Definitely makes things a bit better that way. Alright, so before we head to the next area I want to do, we should definitely pop by the store and see if we can buy some more Pokeballs, as we're all tapped out. And we're obviously going to need Pokeballs for some of the new catches we're going to be making. Just really hoping we'd actually be able to catch something useful at the ruins, but I don't know, just want something to put on the team that's not Ladybug, because I'm not a fan of Ladybug. So we head over this way by the northern section of the ruins of Alph here. Plants are also living things. They want to move around from time to time. Foreshadowing. Lately I don't see people coming from Goldenrod City. Wonder why that would be. Hello. A knot tree is blocking the way to Ecruteak City. It's preventing me from shopping. Something should be done about it. Something should indeed. Yo, haven't you had trouble with a boulder blocking your way? Of course you have! For people like you, there's an HM that will come to your rescue. So get HM 6 by talking to this guy here. It contains Make 'em Feign Rock Smash. You can use it to smash boulders once you burn the Violet City Gym Badge. But beware, hidden moves like this are hard for your Pokemon to forget once they're learned them. You should think carefully which Pokemon should learn it. That we will. But if we go a little bit farther into this route, of course we can see there's something in the way that does not seem to be able to move. So we're just going to leave that for now. And the gate down there leads back into the ruins of Alph, which we really don't have to go back to at this point. Not unless we do find a certain item that I want to get. Also a good idea to check these lanterns as you're moving around the cities, because they can tend to have something in them. Alright, so we managed to take care of all the stuff around there. Yeah, that would actually be pretty funny, Lydia. Alright, our team is pretty much how I want them to be right now, so... And just wanted to double check to make sure we have the Pokeballs we got. Yep. Alright, so we should be good to head to the Sprout Tower, which we heard so much about before. God, I love the new eye catch art that they have before you enter an area. Just so cool. A bell sprout over 100 feet tall. People say that it became the middle pillar here. It's got a nice little area that obviously is pretty important to the folklore of the Johto region, as this place apparently used to be the home of a 100-foot tall bell sprout that has now been turned into a pretty nice a sanctuary slash temple, as you can see from some of the folks around here. Well, this is another encounter I'm not entirely enthusiastic about. Skitty! Well, never mind, Squeaks was too powerful. Honestly, I don't feel too bad about losing that potential catch. Skitty's really not a very useful Pokemon. However hard we battle, the tower will stand strong. Now, usually the gimmick with the monks here in the tower is that most of them tend to use... Wow. Most of them will tend to use the Pokemon Bellsprout. However, thanks to our randomizer, we got some pretty interesting matchups here. Right off the bat, we got ourselves a Mudkip. Sphinx would be pretty good for the team if we were able to find one in the wild, but sadly we do not have access to one for the time being. Would be very fun to use. So while we're kind of dealing with some of the battles in here, felt like it'd be nice to talk a little bit about my history with Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Because obviously back in the day, ooh, this one could actually be really nasty. For you, I want to switch to Lydia because there's a certain move these things can know that I'm worried about. Alright, let's just see what happens. I could try to disable your Protect. That would actually be helpful. Take that! Aha! And see what else you do. Yep, it has Tackle. It's another thing that thing can know that is also pretty mean. But thankfully I have a Pokemon like Lydia that'd be able to soak that up should it happen. But yeah, I wanted to talk a bit about my history with this game because obviously back in the day I did play the original Gold and Silver as a kid. And at a certain point in the game I actually ended up getting stuck in and I just didn't feel the motivation to fully complete those games as a kid. So I never truly got to experience the full Pokemon Gold and Silver journey. And it wasn't until many, many years later, during the height of Generation 4, and me obviously being such a big fan of Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, just playing the heck out of those games and having a good time with it, around this time, there were a lot of rumors from people about there being remakes of the Generation 2 games coming out in this generation, since Generation 3 got remakes for the original Red and Blue. So it'd be very fitting that we would eventually get remakes of the Johto games. And sure enough, it was finally announced that we were going to receive Heart Gold and Soul Silver. And, aw man, just the hype to these games was so amazing. Just speculating on what would be changed, what would be kept the same, and for the most part, they did a good job of balancing out the new mechanics with the old traditional aspects of the games. Some things better than others, but we'll get to that later. And yeah, I just played the heck out of Heart Gold and Soul Silver. They're some of my favorite games to play, especially around the time I was in high school. Because, yeah, I'm definitely playing a lot of Pokemon those times, especially when I wasn't... Oh, wow, yeah, Flame Body. That's pretty funny considering what your normal ability is. But yeah, just play the heck out of these games a lot during high school, and... just such a good time with it. Definitely got really attached to this region because of those remakes. which is probably why I hold them in such high esteem compared to some of the other remake games. I could use that full heal on Squeaks. If I remember correctly, your ability's not one that would benefit you being burned. Nope, you have plus. That's not too far from the Pokemon Center. We can get that burn cured. Hello again, you. So burn as a status is quite similar to poison. But it does have another nasty effect that can definitely impact battles in a big way. So, as you can see there, burn is able to lower your Pokemon's health over time, much like they were poisoned. However, it has another nasty effect in that a burn Pokemon will have its attack stat cut in half, making them significantly weaker in battles. Definitely a good strategy to make a Pokemon burn, as it'll make it easier to be able to accomplish things. And also just good in general, because, well, being burned isn't always a bad thing for some Pokemon, but we'll get into that discussion when it becomes more relevant, obviously. Yeah, just some nice little quirks of all of these status ailments. It definitely makes it very dynamic. Alright, now that's taken care of, want to get back into our discussion about just my early experience of Heart Gold and Soul Silver. It was a good time. I really enjoyed these games front to back. I actually managed to experience the end of the Gold and Silver storyline thanks to these remakes after all this time, so obviously I hold them in very high regard. And it is kind of weird because after all this time I don't really go back to these games compared to some of the others, mostly because of my opinion that Pokemon games just get better and better with each generation, so I tend to play the newer generation a lot more than the regular ones. And oh boy, now that I picked this item, might as well talk about this. So revives. A lot of people have different rules when it comes to the revive item in a Nuzlocke run, as these are able to restore fainted Pokemon back to half its health for a regular revive. Yet these items are pretty much going to be disqualified entirely from battles, so I could not use revives at any point in order to revive a Pokemon that is fainted. Aw man, why couldn't I have gotten this instead of a Skitty? That would have been fun. So yeah, any revives that we encounter throughout this game, we're pretty much just going to be using them to get money. Ooh, speaking of other Generation 2 Pokemon, Spinarak. That is one of the more elusive ones, and not one you'd normally be able to encounter in Soul Silver, as that's a Heart Gold exclusive one. Yep, some Pokemon are exclusive to certain versions of the game. Don't have to worry about that with my current challenge, obviously. But Spinarak I'm also quite attached to, because it was one of the first Generation 2 Pokemon I ever saw from some Japanese Pokemon cards I received from my aunt when I was a kid. And it just made me really excited to finally get to see these new Pokemon in an actual game. It's part of why I really did enjoy Generation 2, even though I never finished it as a kid. Obviously, I talked about this during my Gold streams, but my opinions on the Generation 2 games, they're definitely a step up from the first generation, but as I previously stated, I think all Pokemon games get better with each iteration. So these days, I don't tend to view the Gold and Silver games that highly compared to others. But for what they are, they're still really good. I can't be switched out. Okay, so the Seal got randomized to have a trapping ability. Yeah, some abilities can be a pain in more ways than one. In this case, the seal has an ability that prevents Snorkel from being switched out, which would be troublesome if you were higher level than us or if we were at a type disadvantage. But we are not in any of those situations. And Snorkel is just a boss. So good. And last one is Chingling. That is not bad. You're a psychic type, but you're also a baby, so I'm not too worried about you. But that is pretty fitting for this tower full of monks, as Chingling is like based on a type of prayer bell or something. Oh, I'm weak. I tried to copy Bellspot's gentle movements for battle, but I didn't train well enough. But yeah, my weird opinions about the Johto games aside, I do feel like Johto region itself has a lot of things going for it. It's like, it is easily the most Japanese feeling out of any of the Pokemon regions, and I don't know, just the atmosphere of this place I really do love, especially in the remakes. Just the graphical overhaul is so good. What do we have here on the top floor? Because yeah, we're at the top. Really? Kirlia! That is actually a second stage Pokemon. We're normally not supposed to encounter these until much later. But same strength just decided that we would run into a Kirlia here. I was a little worried about the damage this thing could do, because Kirlia is a really good special attacker. But Walker is able to handle it. And hopefully Walker is able to handle a lot of things, because I am kind of planning on using him for a bit longer in this run. Yeah, let's go ahead and heal you up a bit. And let's go forward. Got a couple more battles here, and then we got ourselves the main event in this tower. We train to find enlightenment in Pokemon. It is pretty interesting to see just the sort of religious implications of the Pokemon world, because we obviously get a lot of that here in this generation, as this area is obviously inspired by a lot of religious sites in Japan. Just want to switch to Lydia for this because Riolu is a fighting type. And thankfully, I know for certain that this thing is not going to have a lot of good moves at this level. So Lydia will just be able to easily handle this thing. It does have Endure, but that's not too bad. So we beat Jin. Go back to Xenoblade, Jin! As Pokemon grow stronger, so does the trainer. No, wait, as the trainer grows stronger, so do the Pokemon. Yeah, but it's nice to see both a trainer and Pokemon going stronger as they progress on their respective journeys. Like, I've definitely become a much better, not just a Pokemon player, but a better gamer in general because of my experiences with the Pokemon series. We actually got a pretty relevant Pokemon to this area here with Bellsprout. I would switch to Sun to face this thing, but Walker is definitely strong enough to handle a measly little Sprout. Is my head that is bright? Oh no, you got a bit of a shaved head thing going on. There be light on your journey. Now we can see a very nasty butt over there. Let's take this guy on too. Troy. Oh, he's got a Turtwig. You can be pretty defensive, so let's go to Sun for this one. Well, this is quite the interesting little matchup we got here, using two Sinnoh starters in a Generation 4 game. Although it's not the games that they're accustomed to being in. God, definitely one of the things I love most about randomizer runs is just getting to use Pokemon you normally wouldn't get to encounter in those games. It's like right now, we got quite a few Pokemon that are normally able to be encountered during the main story of the Johto games. But then we got our Chimchar, we got a Horsey, which would normally not be able to encounter until much later on. We got a Duskull, which you're not able to get till post-game. Like, it is just cool getting to see, like, all the different Pokemon combinations we're able to get for a team that we wouldn't normally be able to get. Yes, your trust is real. Thank you, sir. Yeah, but it is quite funny that way. Though not entirely in the ways I like. Hang-ups with the current team aside, I do quite like this squad. It's a pretty nice one for the early game, and hopefully they're going to carry us through the next big battle, because things could get pretty dicey depending on what the ace of our opponent's going to be. Spearow, that would have been nice to see before. You have a flying move, so... yeah, let's have Lydia. Wait, Lydia's not going to be able to be good against this thing because it's part normal. What am I thinking? You know what? Let's just run. I don't like that matchup. If we go forward, look who it is. You showed us what you've got, and it is indeed good. Take this technical machine. However, you should care more about your Pokemon. The way you treat your Pokemon can be too harsh. Remember, Pokemon are not tools of war. He calls himself the Elder, but he was no match for me. Sure enough, those who lecture how you should be nice to Pokemon, they cannot defeat me. All I care about are strong Pokemon that win every time. The rest of them don't mean anything to me. He certainly has his priorities. Not exactly ones that I agree with. For current team right now, some of our guys are hurting a little bit, but I don't want to waste my items, so we're probably good for this matchup. So good of you to come here. Sprout Tower is a place of training. People and Pokemon test their bonds to build a bright future together. I am the final test. Allow me to check the ties between you and your Pokemon. So our final opponent here in the tower is Elder Lee. Get it? Elder Lee? Also like that this pun is still retained in the original versions of these games, as back in Gold and Silver he was called Sage Lee, which obviously is Sage Lee. I just love the fact that they still carry over the pun between the games. It's just so good. Anyway, we got ourselves a Speed Boost Horsey to deal with. This guy just decided to go at us with a mirror match from one of our own Pokemon. Alright, I will give this about Liz Jr. You have good special bulk, and that could be useful to us. Okay, yeah, there is no way this Horsey is going to out-damage us, unless it, like, gets a lot of critical hits. So if we could just sit back and let Liz Jr. do her thing and see what we can do. We also have Comet Punch on Liz Jr., which in certain circumstances could be better than Tackle, but at the same time, it's a very weak move, it's not very accurate, so not going to be relying on it here. I think Liz Jr. is just fine to wail on this Seahorse with what she's got. There we go. So little Beetle getting some good experience here, and Skitty. It's actually kind of fitting since we encountered Skitty earlier in this tower. Okay, we did take a few smoke screens. Okay. We're good, we're good. Lydia's not going to be able to damage this thing, so we need a good hard hitter. Squeaks is at full health, so you'd be probably good for this. Given your level, I think this Skitty replaces Elder Lee's Hoot Hoot, which, ugh. Oh, that was close. Okay, I know another critical hit probably isn't gonna kill, so let's just get some damage in here. Alright, it's gonna be at least a free hit! Stop getting these critical hits on us, sir! I am actually tempted to use Max Potion right now, because the regular potion's not gonna fully heal Squeaks. You know what? Let's do this. This might screw us later, but I do not care because I do not want to lose a Pokemon this early on. I mean, for the most part, some Pokemon could be thrown away, but I don't want to have that mentality in these kind of runs. I want to try and make sure that no Pokemon get left behind. Alright, it's not so bad now this thing's not nailing us with critical hits. Ah, very good. Squeaks, you're definitely channeling your inner Jerry here. And our final opponent is Jigglypuff. It's a pretty tanky Pokemon with a lot of HP. And of course it gets some nasty status moves like Sing there. That could definitely be nasty for us, as a Pokemon that's asleep cannot attack. I'm gonna hope that you are not going to do that again, and we're just gonna full heal Squeaks. Alright, your defense curling, so that could be a bit of a pain. We're also definitely starting to see how playing in set mode is gonna make things a lot tricky for us, because when we do encounter trainers with a larger team of Pokemon, it is going to start being a bit tricky to be able to deal with them. The way you battle is quite elegant. You should be able to stand up to Faulkner, and you should be able to make good use of this. It's a technical machine called Flash. Take it with you. So for that, we receive a pretty decent move here. Try it on a Bellsprout. Yeah, your bias is showing, sir. So TMs and HMs obviously are items that we can use in order to teach our Pokemon moves that they would normally not be able to get by level up. In the case of our TMs, these are single-use items, but you are able to get some of them much easier than some other moves, so it can be nice to stock up on these later. HMs are moves that you can use indefinitely. However, they are much trickier to be able to forget for your Pokemon than normal. In the case of Flash, this one we're probably not going to use anytime soon. It does have the added effect of being able to illuminate dark caves, but at the moment, we're not really going to need that because we're not going to explore a dark cave again until quite a bit later. And then we got Rock Smash, which we're only really going to see some use out of after we clear the Violet Gym. I hope you learn and grow from your journey. Me too, sir. Me too. So Pokemon's current levels, the gym would be... we could probably handle the gym. We are a little under-leveled for the leader's ace. But we got a full team compared to what the gym leader is packing, so we're probably going to be good. Plus, we got some opponents we can fight at the gym, so there's also that. Yep, cleared up everything we could do in the Sprout Tower. Sadly, we've lost 2 potential encounters we could have gotten, but hey, them's the breaks of a Nuzlocke run. Alright, let's heal up, and then we should be ready to go forward. And before this session, I was so excited about the potential Pokemon we'd be able to catch here. And what do we have to show for it? Just this little blob of gum. What, your ability is Rivalry? How would that even work? You are a genderless Pokemon. I mean, that's not even really gonna matter, because once you transform, you gain your opponent's ability. Also, for the record, Pokemon like Ditto are incapable of learning TMs and HMs normally, so there's also that. It's exclusively going to be a user of Transform. That's all its gimmick is. Yeah, I'd say we're probably going to be good. In terms of what else we could use, we can sell a Tiny Mushroom to get some more supplies. But definitely sell the Revive, since we're not going to be using that. And we did pick up a berry earlier. So before this stream session, I was doing a little prep and actually got a call from Bugcatcher Wade. And he asked to visit so that he could give me a berry, which was the Lepa berry. So that was very nice of him, getting some added utility for later. Berries are pretty hard to come by, so you definitely want to register trainers who are able to give you berries. Let's go ahead and sell the things we want here. Get some good money from the revives, so those are definitely good to sell. And yeah, we should all be good. I don't think there's any more items we're going to want to buy here, so... Well, let's see what our inventory currently is. It's got enough to buy at least a few potions. We're already at 5, so I don't think we're going to need any more. But what about these? Yeah, let's buy a few antidotes and a few paralyze heals, because these could be useful to us going forward. Obviously, some form to counter status ailments is always good in these challenges. Because an entire battle can be decided because your Pokemon just happens to get paralyzed or poisoned at the wrong time. Because that certainly happened to me kind of frequently. But anyway, now that we dealt with the tower, we can finally access the gym. Yo, champ in the making! I'm no trainer, but I can give some advice. Believe me! If you believe, then a championship dream could come true. You believe? Then listen. The grass type's weak against the flying type. Keep this in mind. That's really not going to be relevant to this gym, obviously. Check the statue here. It just tells you what gym you're at. We step on this platform! Oh. So that's a nice little change to how things were back in the original games. So back in Gold and Silver, this gym was just a single floor area. However, in the remakes, they changed it so that you get elevated up to the top of a tower. Which is definitely a cool set piece for this area. Definitely makes it a lot more dynamic. Okay, Metatite. You're a bit of a tricky opponent because you're fighting Psychic type. However, you definitely don't have a lot of good moves at this level. So I think we're just fine to have Liz attack you here. It is kind of nice that we get access to... Oh boy. So Metatite does have that. Oh. And of course we get a critical hit. We're probably going to be fine. So that move Metatite did is called Bide. It is a nasty move in that it is a counter move. So pretty much once your Pokemon is using Bide, any damage that it sustains in battle, it will send back at the target at double power. Let's see how well Liz Jr. can take that. Oh boy, that did just over half health. That was nasty. Alright, but now that we know the general damage range this Metatite will do, we should be alright. Alright, I know for a fact that we're not going to get knocked out by Bide here, so let's try to confuse this thing again. And just go for the attack here. Because a nice thing about Bide in these newer games is that Bide will always take high priority. Which is very nice. It gives you an opportunity to kind of strategize when it comes to what your opponent's going to be doing. Mostly. Still be very scary if things just don't turn out the way you want them to. Alright, Liz definitely took a beating there. But you actually did really good surviving that fight, Liz Jr. I'll give you that. You are a survivor. Alright, Snorkel, you can take point here. Let's see what you got. Obviously, I'm going to go back to the Pokemon Center and heal before we actually challenge the gym leader. Alright, dealing with another Jigglypuff. You know what this thing is probably going to be packing. I should probably rearrange Snorkel's moves so that his higher priority moves are going to be at the top of his list here. Yeah, got another Sing. And unfortunately, I don't think we have any sleep healing items. Yeah, because the Pokemart only sells paralysis and poison at this current rank. Probably said this before, but the items that will be sold at the shops is dependent on how many gym badges you have. So because we do not have a gym badge, the inventory is very limited. At least we got a good opportunity here just to try to break out, since Jigglypuff is most likely not going to have any serious moves here. It's also nice that Snorkel's a special attacker, because we can just break through all these defense buffs it's getting. Come on, Snorkel. Yeah, I don't think this Jigglypuff has, like, any attacking moves since it hasn't hit us once. There we go. And a critical hit, too! Good work, Snorkel. Your speed has almost got to be maxed out at this point. And next one is a Meryl. You really don't have the best for this, so... how about we go to Lydia? I'm not expecting Meryl to have anything that's going to be really serious here. Very good. Just lay on the Nightshades, and we should be good. So yeah, how have you all been doing lately? I've been feeling pretty good today, all things considered. I'm actually in a pretty nice mood today because I actually got 2 days off in a row. So I was very happy about that. So originally planning to stream yesterday, but I was kind of having a thing going on with some other people, so we weren't able to do that. But it's alright, we managed to get the stream going now, so everything is doing good. But speaking of doing good, let's go heal up at the center before we take on the gym leader.